Assalamualaikum everyone. Welcome back to our subject EAMG 3123 Program Development and Management in Early Childhood Education. This week will be our week 3 and we are going to look at unit 3 which is organizing program structure. So before we go further, let's look at our topic learning outcome, right? So by the end of this topic, you are expected to be able to first to describe how an early childhood program is structured, okay, including the roles, responsibility, and also the daily operation. And the secondly is for you to be able to identify who can serve on a program board, okay, and also explain the key duties of their responsibility of the board member. Okay, thirdly, for you to be able to explain how board member communicate effectively to make decision and support the program goals, as well as finally for you to be able to describe the appropriate level of board involvement in daily operation while respecting the role of the other program administrator. Okay, so first look at our first topic, which is the organization of the program. So, how will you organize the program? Okay, so basically, for a Malaysian early childhood education institution, most of us we are required to follow a clear structures of operation. Right? Therefore, it could help us operate our center smoothly as well as at the same time to meet all the government requirement. Okay, so the government that we are referring to are the JPN, which is Jabatan Pendidikan Negara, JPN. JPN. Okay, the JKM, okay, MOE, and as well as the local council. So each of these institution, okay, governing body, all right. So they have their own requirement of how are you supposed to structure your program or your institution lah. Okay, now what is program structure is basically referring on how your center, okay, it's either taska or tadika, okay, is being organized. So each of this institution must follow a strict requirement or guidelines from the JKM ataupun the MOE lah. Okay, for JKM, they have a very straightforward program structure. However, for a Tadika, they have a specific structure that you need to follow. Okay, so why it is important to have a program structure? Okay, because having this the structure, the level, okay, it helps the center to run safely, smoothly, as well as meeting the regulatory standard, okay, and ensure your communication is also smooth and clear among all of the staff. Okay, so having all of this structure, okay, the framework is visually visible, right, can help to guide how a center is managed. Okay, so in this program structure, it will include the people, what are their roles, okay, the communication flow, all right, and also who will decide, okay, in decision making. Okay, again, to have a program structure, it helps to ensure a smooth and safe daily operation. Okay, so in Malaysia, okay, each of the ECE program needs to have a clear organization system that will include, okay, in your program structure, that will include, of course, you will need to have the top tier management, which is the director or the principal. Okay, of course, each of your center must follow the requirement either from the CHECAM or MOE. Okay, because director or the principal, they need to have qualification, okay, a specific requirement in order for you to place a person in that position. Okay, as well as a teacher. Okay, usually a teacher is the one who carry out the curriculum lah, who do the teaching. And on top of that, you will have assistant. Okay, usually assistant is the person who supports all the operation, daily routines such as to feed the children, okay, toiletring, okay, and then we also have support staff. Okay, support staff such as admin, cleaners, and also the cook lah. So again, by having this organizational chart, okay, it shows the hierarchy of the center, the level of the management. Okay, it can be visually seen. So this structure ensures that each person knows their responsibility and also help to avoid confusion. Okay, you know who to refer to, you know which person hold a specific roles. Okay, you know which person is responsible for what tasks and so on. Okay, so this hierarchy follow Malaysian licensing expectation, especially for Tadika. There is a requirement for you to have a board of directors, okay, the principal and so on lah. Okay. All right. So, in organization of a program, okay, of course, you will need to have organizational chart. Okay. So, in this chart, clearly can be seen what are the roles. Okay, who holds what roles. Okay, the policies and procedures, as well as the flow of your operation, daily operation. Okay, so these are the example of organizational chart. Okay, so you have a different tier here. If you can notice, there are top, middle, and lower tier lah. Okay, so each of these person, you can see the name, designation, and also their roles as well. Okay. Now, let's look at the next unit, which is board membership and duties. So each board member will have their own specific duties. So board in Malaysia Early Childhood Education Program, it can include the owner itself, okay, or maybe parents, other professionals from specific area specialties, okay, or maybe you can also include the community representative from your area. Okay, so the board member duties, okay, their duties can include, of course, overseeing the centers to make sure that they follow the rules. Okay, for Tarika, of course, they need to follow the JKM rules, and for Tarika, Taska JKM, and then Tarika is following the pendidikan rules lah. Okay. Not only that, they also need to think, okay, about the budget, approving the budget, structuring the fees, right, and also for program development in the future. Okay. Also including hiring, evaluating the director. Okay. And also ensuring all their programs in their center are meeting the standards lah. Okay. However, for board director, they do not manage daily tasks. Okay, daily tasks such as teaching, cleaning. These are the tasks that the board director they don't do. They only do on the management level. Okay, they're managing lah. Okay, managing administration, they're managing the financial, all right. So who are the people sits on the boards again? Okay, it can be the owners, the community members, can be the parents, or even outside professionals lah, professional that is related to our industry lah, our field, right? Okay. So the person who holds the position in the board members, all right, we need someone with the qualification. Okay, so looking at the qualities of effective board members, so the person who holds the position, okay, the roles, of course, they need to have a relevant professional background. You can't just simply take a person and hold the position without having the right knowledge to run the operation. Okay, to host their roles and to do what it's supposed to do lah. Okay, so board members should bring useful expertise such as either finance or education or whatever related to the field, right? Then only they be able to help to manage the center effectively. Okay, so their knowledge, okay, will help the center, of course, to make a better decision, okay, to manage the budget responsibly. Yeah, so uh, their knowledge is very, very important to ensure that the center will run smoothly. Of course, at the same time, they need to make sure that their decision, their action is compliance with all of the act with the relative respective area lah, either taska or tadika. Okay, not only the having the right knowledge is enough, however they also need to have high ethical standard. They must have the ethics when they're managing the center. Okay, board members must act with integrity, honesty, and also transparency. Okay, they should avoid any conflict of interest. Okay, if they think it will benefit them alone, then they should not be doing that. They need to be fair. Okay, they need to avoid conflict of interest and always make decision that benefit the children, the staff, the family, and also the center especially. Okay, not only that, they need to help to maintain public trust by ensuring that the center is really following the ethical practice and policy. Okay, so basically, the board members is also the face, the front face of the center. Okay, now, okay, holding the position, have the right knowledge is also not sufficient. However, they must commit to the children welfare because the center, okay, their focus is for the children. Therefore, the person who guide, who lead the center must commit to the children welfare. They need to prioritize the children's safety, learning, health, emotional well-being more than making profits. Okay, on top of that, of course, they need to have understanding of the Malaysian early childhood education policies and regulations. So we abide by a lot of rules and regulation, act lah. Okay, one of the example, okay, the Childcare Act, and the preschool curriculum. Now we have a new preschool curriculum lah. Okay, and also another act from health, safety, and so on lah. All right. Moving on to board communication. Okay, so in order to make sure that your center runs smoothly, one of the main important um, uh, main important factors is to keep your communication going on, to keep your communication effective. Therefore, board communication need to have a regular and scheduled meeting. Okay, it's either they meet up monthly or quarterly, right? Discussing about the center operation, any challenges, any progress, because consistent meeting can help to ensure timely decision making. You did not delay any decision, okay, that might affect with the center operation. Okay, uh, when you have a meeting, okay, of course, it comes together with a documentation lah. Therefore, all meetings should be minute. Okay, during that meeting also, okay, you update with financial report, okay, optional update if there's any cases, anything needs to be followed up, right? So everything will be discussed during the meeting. Okay. Keeping accurate record is also very important to ensure accountability, okay, and also to support licensing requirement, right? So when there is audit, all right, when there's an audit, then you have a proof to show, all right. Transparent information sharing. Okay, so during board communication, you must also ensure there's a transparent information sharing lah. So board should communicate openly about issues such as safety concern. Okay, you can't always be telling yes, all is good, yes, all is manageable, all in control, and so on. So if there is issue, it should be rise up during the meeting lah. Okay, staffing matters, budget and freeze, and also any parent complaints lah. Okay, although it has been managed in the middle tier level, however, it still need to be mentioned or rise up during the board meetings. Okay, therefore, any further planning can be met. Remember, transparent communication is very important because it builds trust and also support continuous improvement in the center quality. Okay. Now, fourthly, okay, professional and cultural respectful communication. Okay, so we follow our cultural practice lah. Okay, so Malaysian communication. Okay, our Malaysian people, we value politeness, okay, clarity, and also respect. Therefore, we need to maintain this when we have a board meeting, okay, or when we communicate with our colleagues lah. Okay, so as a board member, we need to make sure that we use professional language. We can't be using the same language that we use at home. Okay, because this is a professional board, therefore we must use professional language. Okay, we need to listen actively, therefore we can make a right decision. Okay, and address conflict calmly without affecting evolving emotional too much. Okay, so this can help to maintain a positive working relationship with or between director and the staff. Now, finally, okay, to have a clear communication between board and also center director. Okay, so between these two levels, okay, we need to make sure that all the decision, expectation, and also policy are clearly communicated to the center director ataupun center managers. Therefore, the managers will know what to be done in the operation level. Okay, so good communication will prevent misunderstanding, okay, and also ensure smooth daily operation. However, on top of that, of course, it will come with the challenges lah. Okay, challenges often happen, okay, when roles are overlapped or if there is communication are not clearly being conveyed. Okay, the communication is not clear. Okay, so what will happen from here? It can create tension lah to the organization, to the people. All right, so what can happen? Okay, one of the example is conflict between board and director. Okay, this happen when board member interfere too much in the daily decision, micromanaging. Not only the board decide on the um, top level, but also they go down to the operation level. All right, so they keep micromanaging, therefore interfering with other roles lah. Okay, or maybe there is lack of meeting attendance. Okay, they're too busy to attend meeting. They're too busy to discuss about things. So if this happen, a lot of things can be delayed. Okay, decision making cannot be made, further planning cannot be made. Therefore, it could interfere with the operation lah. Okay, or maybe unclear policies. So if you don't have a clear policy, okay, of course it could create confusion. Okay, and also it will interrupt with the daily operation. Okay, policies are unclear, or maybe it's not even aligned with the Malaysian regulation. You make your own policy. All right, so communication could affect it. Okay, if you were to do that. Now, moving on to board involvement in operation. Okay. So in Malaysia, okay, usually the board will focus on the top level roles lah, okay, which is on policies and long-term planning of the company. Okay, so the board will focus all about planning, decision making, and not the operation. Okay, not on the daily task. Right. So a board should not interrupt in the classroom operation. Should not interrupt in the operation level, or means to say teacher decision in how they want to handle the children, of course in a good way lah. Okay, so they should not be a micromanaging. Okay, so if this happen, then haywire will happen. Okay, haywire will follow. Okay, the center director only handle matters. Okay, the center director. Okay, means that is the center lah. Okay, not the company. Okay, the center director or the center manager. Okay, will handle all the daily matters like staffing, curriculum planning, scheduling, or parent issue lah. Okay, so the board, the top tier, okay, they will only support through budgeting, okay, approving major changes if you need another classroom, another appliances, and so on, okay, and also anything that ensuring compliance with the regulation lah. Okay, so they need to have a clear segregation between these two roles lah, okay, between the board and the center managers and also the operation. Therefore, we can ensure a smooth operation daily. Okay, so that will be all for our topic today. Okay, I hope you do have some takeouts until we meet again in our next topic. Thank you, everyone. Assalamualaikum. Bye bye.